Summer Newman's flight incident, a dramatic and potential return in a shocking twist, The Young and the Restless has thrown fans into an unexpected shock. Summer Newman's flight from Milan, one of the show's key characters, may never return to Genoa City. A serious plane crash threatens to take her life, sending shockwaves through everyone who loved her. However, her sudden departure may just be part of a larger plan, opening the door for a future return, or even bigger twists in relationships and ongoing plots. Summer's disappearance. While Summer Newman's life seemed to have stabilized, she has overcome many challenges and complicated relationships, especially with Kyle and Harrison. Summer, Phyllis and Nick's daughter, has always been a strong, ambitious character, and an integral part of the Abbott family. But a tragic plane crash could change everything. When Summer's plane crashes en route from Milan, no one can predict the consequences. The tense scenes at the airport, the intense concern of family and friends, and the arrival of rescue teams will leave viewers feeling heartbroken. Summer's husband Kyle is devastated by the news, and the sight of their young son Harrison in a state of grief will have viewers in tears. A shock for the Abbott family. YNR fans are used to the tension and conflict within the Abbott family. But this time, things will be different as they face the biggest loss of their lives. Summer's disappearance will not only be a shock to Kyle and Harrison, but also raise concerns about their future. How can Kyle continue to run the company without Summer, who has always been his right-hand man? Will he be able to overcome the pain of losing his beloved wife and part of his family? This also opens up the growing role of Claire, Summer's best friend. Claire has always been a close companion to Summer, but with the current situation, she will have to shoulder a greater responsibility in Kyle and Harrison's lives. With her strong and determined nature, Claire will not only be a source of encouragement for Kyle but also someone who helps him find his purpose in life after this tragedy. However, whether Claire can become a replacement for Summer in the Abbott family is a difficult question to answer. Kyle and Harrison's mood. No one can imagine the pain Kyle and Harrison will have to go through if Summer is truly gone. Their love for Summer has overcome all odds, and her passing will surely leave a huge hole in their hearts. Kyle, with the courage and resilience of a husband, will have to face loneliness, anxiety about his future and that of his son. Will he be able to continue rebuilding his life without Summer by his side? Harrison's emotions, who is young but mature enough to feel loss, will be a touching element in the story. With the unexpected and sudden events, he may have to learn to deal with grief early on. This will create a touching story of maturity and family love, as Kyle and Claire must help Harrison through this difficult time. Summer's possible return. While the plane crash was a heartbreaking tragedy, in the world of The Young and the Restless, nothing is impossible. Summer's disappearance could be a way to temporarily remove her from the story, opening up new opportunities for other characters to develop. Maybe one day, Summer will return, with a reason or secret that only she knows. Maybe she will become a character who confronts her old enemies, or maybe she will bring a new connection between the powerful families of Genoa City. YNR's twist changes everything. Summer's disappearance is not just a personal tragedy, but also a major turning point in the story of The Young and the Restless. This could open up a whole new series of events and relationships. How will the Abbott family overcome this challenge? And will Kyle find love and happiness again, or will he have to live with the haunting memories of his past, the memories of Summer that never fade? Another big question that fans can't help but ask is how the events following Summer's departure will affect other characters like Phyllis, Nick, or even Adam and Victor. Could they be caught up in new power struggles, now that Summer is no longer the one standing between them? While Summer Newman's departure may come as a shock to everyone, in the world of The Young and the Restless, nothing is forever. The death of an important character like Summer will certainly open up new battles, new relationships, and difficult choices for the remaining characters. However, will Summer be able to return in the future, or is this disappearance just a painful end point that cannot be changed? We'll have to wait and see, but one thing's for sure. The Young and the Restless will never be short of surprises. When Summer Newman decided to fly to Milan, no one in the Abbott and Newman families could have imagined that this urgent business trip would be the beginning of an unimaginable tragedy. Summer, a devoted and loving mother, certainly could not bear to leave her beloved son Harrison without her presence for so long. Yet, she decided to leave under circumstances that no one expected her to be gone for so long. When she told Kyle that she would not be able to see Harrison for a long time, mentioning that she had delayed the announcement of her move to live with Claire, her best friend, she could not have foreseen the tragedy that was about to unfold. A flight from Milan, with a flimsy business reason, could change everything for the Abbott and Newman families. A tragic flight. Everyone knew that Summer's trip to Milan would not last long. But who could have thought that she would not return? As a mother, Summer can't bear to leave her beloved son, but things aren't as they seem. One minute, everyone thinks Summer is just working in Milan and will be back in a few days. But the next moment, events take an unexpected turn. Summer's plane goes missing on a tragic flight. Everything seems to fall apart in an instant. Longtime fans of The Young and the Restless are used to shocking twists and turns, but this one takes things to a whole new level. A flight gone missing over the Atlantic Ocean, it's the perfect plot for a dramatic soap opera. Kyle and Harrison shock. Kyle Abbott and Harrison can't believe their ears when they hear the news. Both men in the Abbott family have been preparing for Summer's return in a few days. But the next minute, they get a call from the authorities, informing them that Summer's plane has disappeared over the ocean. The plane did not land on time as scheduled, and no one can explain the cause of this incident. Harrison, who is still too young to understand everything, will have to face a deep sadness. How can Kyle explain to his son that his mother could not return? How can he understand that Summer, the mother he loved, is forever lost? And perhaps most painful of all, Kyle will have to face the truth that he could not protect the woman he loved. This will surely push Kyle into a terrible internal struggle, when he can do nothing but witness his child's pain. Phyllis and Nick break up. Not only Kyle and Harrison, but Phyllis and Nick will also be caught up in this terrible storm of emotions. Phyllis, Summer's mother, who is a strong and determined woman, will not be able to cope with this shock. Summer's disappearance is not only a blow to her heart but also a sudden shock to everyone who loved her. Phyllis, who has always protected her daughter throughout her life, will now have to face an overwhelming pain. Will she be able to continue to rise while facing the unexpected death of her daughter? The sight of Phyllis collapsing in pain, unable to believe the truth, will surely bring tears to anyone who witnesses it. Nick, Summer's father, will feel extremely guilty for not being able to do anything more than watch the daughter he loved the most leave forever. How will he be able to overcome this pain? And will he be able to continue his relationship with Phyllis when they are both facing an unimaginable shock? Heartbreaking and dramatic scenes. Surely, the scenes in the next episode will be filled with emotional moments. The scenes of Kyle explaining to Harrison about his mother's disappearance will be some of the most haunting in the history of The Young and the Restless. A boy is thrown into a world of loss. A father must do everything to protect his son from a deep pain that he himself cannot heal. Love, sacrifice and sadness will intertwine, creating heavy scenes that the audience will not forget. The scene of Phyllis and Nick facing this news together will be no less tragic. Their pain will be clearly shown through their eyes, gestures, and choked words. Phyllis will not only have to grapple with the loss of her child, but also with the anxiety about the future of her family. Nick will also have to struggle with the torn emotions of being caught between the pain of love and family. The Abbott and Newman family's future. Summer's disappearance not only causes pain for those who love her, but also creates twists and turns in the relationship between the Abbott and Newman families. Will Kyle continue to be a family man, or will this loss change him completely? And will Kyle and Claire's feelings become stronger in this context, when Claire steps in to support Kyle during this difficult time? This event will open up many possibilities for the next plot lines in the story. Although Summer may never return, she will always be an important part of the story of The Young and the Restless, and her departure will certainly be a turning point that cannot be ignored. Summer Newman's missing flight is not only a painful tragedy but also an important milestone in the story of The Young and the Restless. The emotional developments will make the audience follow every detail and imagine what will happen next. Could this loss lead to bigger changes for the Abbott and Newman families? There are still many mysteries in this story, and we can only wait and see how the characters will face this challenge. Kyle Abbott's fallen life, the shock of loss and family pain after the tragic disappearance of Summer Newman. Kyle Abbott's life could not be the same again. The sense of loss, the inevitable collapse made him feel like his entire world was falling apart. Summer, his loving wife, Harrison's mother, could not return, and now Kyle had to face the difficult reality. He had to raise his young son alone while dealing with the deep pain inside. From the moment he heard about Summer's disappearance, Kyle changed. The strong, tough man who had always led his family now collapsed under the overwhelming sadness. His heart broke when he saw Harrison, the boy suffering a life without his mother, without the wonderful woman he had always loved. But in the midst of his pain, Kyle also realized that he could not lose his son. He must do everything he can to protect Harrison, but will that love be enough to overcome the endless pain he is enduring? The breakdown in Claire's relationship. It's not easy for a father to deal with loss, and now Kyle must not only deal with his own grief but also worry about Harrison's future. He is facing a difficult world that may never be the same again. But will Kyle's relationship with Claire, Summer's best friend, change in these darkest times? Claire has always been a trusted companion and source of comfort in Summer's life. But now that Summer is gone, Claire has stepped into the role of the woman in the Abbott household. Although Claire and Kyle have always had a good relationship, the pain Kyle is going through could change that relationship. Can Claire become not only Kyle's companion but also Harrison's surrogate mother, helping him overcome his grief and learn to live without his loving mother? In his grief, can Kyle find comfort in Claire's arms? Or will the pain be too great to push him away from his loved ones, including Claire? Kyle and Claire's relationship will become more complicated as they face the challenges of raising Harrison, while also having to deal with pent-up emotions and difficult decisions. Harrison, poor boy, and his painful journey. Harrison, despite his young age, has gone through a lot in his childhood. From living in a tumultuous family to losing his loving mother, Harrison is no longer the carefree boy he once was. The loss is too great, can change Harrison, making him withdrawn and having difficulty finding joy in life. Will he overreact to his grief? Will he try to hold on to Summer's memory, or will he push it away to protect himself from the pain? For a child like Harrison to face the death of his mother will change everything in his life. But besides that, will he find comfort in Claire as she steps into the role of mother? Will Claire's bond with Harrison be the key to overcoming his grief, or will his wounds cause him to shut down forever? The emotional moments when Kyle has to explain to Harrison about his loss will surely be some of the most haunting scenes in the series. How can a father explain to his son that his mother is gone? This question will continue to resonate with Kyle, and the relationship between father and son will inevitably change. Phyllis and Nick, the breakup and the search. The loss of Summer is an unbearable shock to Phyllis. As a mother who has always protected her daughter, Phyllis cannot accept that Summer is gone. She cannot bear this great pain, and instead of sitting still, Phyllis decides to find the truth herself. Phyllis, who has never accepted defeat in life, will now seek answers. She cannot believe that Summer is gone forever. This great loss makes her lose control, and instead of accepting reality, Phyllis begins her own investigation. What secrets will she uncover? And will the truth help her heal, or will it only make her more crazy and miserable? Nick, Summer's father, will not sit still in this pain either. As a father who has always protected his children, this loss will surely make Nick find every way to find Summer. Will Nick's love for his daughter help him overcome this pain, or will he be swept away by despair? Victor Newman, the relentless search. Victor Newman, the great man, the head of the Newman family, will not sit idly by while his granddaughter goes missing. Once he learns about Summer's disappearance, he will spare no expense in finding her. His private plane, professional search teams, and the entire Newman fortune will be used to find the truth. Victor, with his power and influence, will do everything he can to find Summer. But can he really find her, or will this loss be too great a shock for the Newman family? Conclusion: events and tested relationships. These events will change everything, not only in the lives of Kyle and Harrison, but also in the relationships between other characters. The loss of Summer will be more than just a family tragedy, it will be a pivotal moment in the story of the young and the restless. Will the characters be able to move past this heartbreak? And will their relationship survive the biggest test life has to offer? The answers will be explored in the coming episodes, as the characters face big decisions, unprecedented heartaches, and secrets waiting to be revealed.